Welcome to the Four Listeners Program. Welcome aboard, everybody. Thanks for checking us out this week. What up, everybody? I'm Spear, and on the mics with me this week is the Z-Man. What is up, Z?
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun, dun.
dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Did you guys see the? Sorry, did you see the? That they did a thing. It was like boobs and dragons, boobs and dragons.
My favorite is
boobs,
Boobs and Dragons. My favorite is the Peter Dinklage, where it's like Peter Dinklage. Well, how about this one? Ganthor, mighty Ganthor. What's up, buddy?
I could totally be a character.
dude, you would. You'd be like Tormund's brother or something.
Oh my God, yeah, Ginger.
Giant ginger.
Whatever. Fuck you guys.
All right, this week, something must be done about Game of Thrones. Spoiler alert. If you have not seen all of the episodes of Season 7 of Game of Thrones, turn off this podcast right the fuck now.
If you're still listening after that amazing rendition of the intro song.
All right, still here? Excellent. So, was it as we're recording this, it was a couple days ago that the finale of Season 7 aired. I thought it was awesome.
I think I slapped the couch at least 3 or 4 times at some of the head fakes they did.
Yep.
That was awesome.
awesome. I loved it. I thought it was a great finale. I thought the end of it. I mean, although you could have predicted every one of those beats, watching the zombie ice dragon tear down the fucking wall.
He's not an ice dragon. He's a blue fire dragon.
Well, whatever. It's zombie white dragon. Watching zombie white dragon tear down the wall. I mean, that's a wall that had stood for thousands of years.
8,000 years.
8,000 years. The Night King just leveled the fuck up and tore that motherfucker down.
Well, they didn't destroy the whole wall.
Yeah.
Just over by Eastwatch.
By Eastwatch, right. Now, do you think Tormund and Beric Dondarrion survived that?
Yes.
Tormund, yes.
So we actually I just recently rewatched this because that was my question last night, and Minion had suggested that they were off to the side from where the wall came down, and there was actually a scene where you can see them. They were at the edge of what got torn down, so they did not fall.
Well, I don't know. That was a huge section of wall. I mean, how the hell did they manage to get off the wall in time?
They're not off the wall. They're still up there.
Yeah, but weren't they running down at some point? Like
no, they never. They were showing other people running down. They weren't showing themselves. They were not at the two that running down.
All right. I mean, to me,
he's still up on the wall.
To me, those two did not make it. I mean, I don't know how you survived that, but all right, you're right. If you didn't see it, Pixar, it didn't happen. It's gonna be like that kind of thing. Pixar, it didn't happen.
Because Tormund has to have his relationship with Bran. They have to make babies. They have to.
Oh my God, you're at least like the 10th person to say that. But don't. All right. So if it's gonna be, who are you gonna ship? Are you gonna ship the Tormund Brienne thing, or Jaime's riding north?
Yeah.
Jaime
ain't getting that.
Jaime's riding north. Jaime, who finally had it up to here with his sister Cersei, and said, "I don't believe you." Like,
Why is there two characters, two brothers, that have to do the exact same move with her? Aren't you going to kill me? And when she has the perfect opportunity to kill either of them, she doesn't kill either.
I think that they had to do that because it only further emphasizes Cersei's devotion to family. As maniacal as she is, her whole reason for being maniacal is her family. She couldn't kill Jaime. She couldn't even kill Tyrion, despite the fact that she blames Tyrion for the death of her mother. She blames
That's different scenarios, though. She knew if she killed Tyrion, she'd get fucked by those dragons.
All right, so there was that. And then, she wasn't killing Jaime. I mean, Jaime is the love of her life.
Because then she would get fucked.
Well, there's that. And then there's the baby that she's purportedly carrying.
I was going to say, what do you think do you think it's real? The baby?
I do. I also think that, either Cersei is either going to miscarry, die in childbirth, or get her throat slashed from ear to ear. There's no way she survives the final season.
I saw a great meme today. It was a picture of Cersei saying, "Hey, didn't you have 3 dragons?" And then Daenerys saying, "Hey, didn't you have 3 kids?"
Ooh,
Yeah, I saw that.
ouch,
Flooded.
burn.
What do you think happened in the room with Tyrion and her? What do you think they discussed? How do you think he got her back to the dragon pit?
Well, I don't think he did it so much as she played him, because she doesn't take that meeting with him unless she wants to send off that whole contingent believing that she was going to send her armies to help them and then double cross them at the end.
Do you think Tyrion knows she's going to double cross him?
No.
No, Tyrion never knows. Tyrion's kind of dumb in that regard.
Exactly.
How many times does he get fucked by his sister or Jaime in terms of plans?
Because one of the theories that I read on one of the website is the reason he was super awkward when he was about to go into Dany's room on the boat when they were knocking boots was because he knew that they were going to get fucked or something, or they were going to get double crossed.
No,
No, he just knows how stupid people in love can be.
Well, either that or he's in love with her himself.
He sees her as somebody who's actually going to change the world, but people in love do stupid things like Jon Snow kind of did.
Yeah.
I can't remain neutral. I already serve a queen.
Well, yeah, he's like, you can learn to lie every now and again.
That after that scene, that's so good. Like every fucking main character goes, "Dude, seriously, dude." Like that was what they all said, right?
Even she does. She's like, "Dude, I appreciate it. That's loyal and shit, but what the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So hold on. So what needs to be done about Game of Thrones?
Sorry. Here's what needs to be done. At the end, with the whole, Jon Snow is not Jon Snow. He's Aegon Targaryen, right?
Right.
Now, if we remember, Robert Baratheon's rebellion begun because he was in love with. Fuck you, Ganthor. Began because he was in love with Lyanna Stark, and he thought that Rhaegar Targaryen stole her, kidnapped her, and raped her.
Yes.
That whole thing was a lie. And
Right.
Ned knew it. Because as you're seeing now from the season before and this, he was there at the Tower of Joy. Young Ned Stark was there at the Tower of Joy to see Lyanna give birth to now Aegon or Jon. And she told him what the name was. You didn't know that last season. You got it this season.
Right.
With Bran saying, he's Aegon Targaryen. And that's when Sam, who, two walking plot devices, walk into a room, or one gets wheeled into a room, and Sam goes, "Oh yeah, that's right. Gilly was talking about this. It was an annulled and then legal marriage. Can you see that in the future or some shit?" And then next thing you know, bam, he's in flashback, right? The whole point is this. Ned knew that this was the rightful heir to the throne. And even if he supported Robert in his rebellion and he took the throne after Robert died, why in the hell did he not go pluck Jon Snow from the wall that he sent him to and say, "This is Aegon Targaryen. He's the rightful heir to the throne"?
Nobody would have believed him.
Ned Stark would have carried a lot of weight. He was Ned fucking Stark. Everyone respected Ned Stark as being an honorable, truthful man.
No, that's true. When you put it like that, the Honorable Ned Stark it's all a lie. It's a total lie for his entire life.
Yep. Didn't tell his wife. Didn't tell Robert.
That's what I was going to get at. Is like the fact that he kept that from his wife the entire time too, and then she had all that angst at him for pouring out and not she didn't think he was honorable, right?
Who?
Catelyn.
Catelyn thought that Ned was the most honorable man on the planet.
Except for the fact that he had a bastard son.
Well, right. That was always a bit of a bone of contention.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. The fact that he actually kept that secret and let her think that he was a philanderer.
Why go through all of that? To what? To perpetrate a lie and to have this whole Robert's rebellion thing be a complete farce. When the whole thing was over, when Robert died, why not come clean on all of this shit?
Well, because then you don't have Game of Thrones, dude.
There you go.
Hold on. Even at that point, though, could he even become the king? Because he's the black. He took the black.
You could, dude. He was a Targaryen. They didn't know that when look. He got sent to the wall,
but
and he took the black.
It doesn't matter. You can't have children, and you can't have land.
Oh my God! If he was the rightful heir to the throne, he would have renounced whatever, and they would have installed him in the throne. I mean, he walked away. He walked away from the wall, and then became king of the North.
Well, that's only because he died and he gave up his watch.
Well, that's right. He says, my watch has ended. Okay, well, fine. But now he's the king in the North, and he's pretending like he's a Stark when his last name is Snow. Imagine if someone had, like, legit proof that he was the rightful heir to the Iron Throne as Aegon Targaryen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nobody wanted the Lannisters there. It was, and the thing about it is that Ned wrote a letter to Stannis saying, you need to, you're the rightful heir. Ned knew all of this shit. Why was he not taking his nephew and installing him as the rightful heir?
Because the show writers didn't know that part yet.
George Martin didn't know what the fuck until 6 books later.
Now, hold on a second. Because there's been this whole thing since 1998, the whole R plus L equals J, right? Yep. Rhaegar plus Lyanna equals Jon. This has been a rumor that has been out there in the world for a long time.
I know it's been there from a long time. I'm saying, what book originated that?
I don't remember exactly which book, but it's been around. It's been around for decades. The problem is with the show now that everything is so accelerated. Like, they only have these last 13 episodes in which to tell the rest of this story. At least in the books, you have this elongated view of how this story is going to be told. You don't get that now in these last 13 episodes, and there's only 6 left.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like HBO has put the writers in a place now where they have to just slam all of this plot down your throat without really giving you any of the context or the insight that you would get were you to have read a story about it.
We were saying the same thing. I was just talking to my roommate today. We were watching, the whole scene with Littlefinger. In the book, I don't know if they would have done it that way. They probably would have. You would have probably been able to read about the two sisters plotting it, right? Like, how did they come up with this idea? At what point did they know? At what point were they starting to figure out how to lay this trap for him? And if you had that time in the book, you would have been able to do it. But because you didn't have that time, it didn't. It's not going to be a good story to see them plotting it. The story, what they did in the show turned out to be like the best way they could have done it.
Well, and there was nowhere else for Littlefinger to go. Like, his whole character arc had completely run its course. Like, who else?
He's a shithead.
Well, right. I mean, he had been a shithead for so long and had screwed over Sansa up-teen times that if you let Sansa continue to get duped by Littlefinger, then you've destroyed all of the character building you've done with Sansa over the course of the last few seasons, where she started to get a little bit more aware, how things affect her, the things that are happening to her. She became a little bit more of a badass. I hate to say it. I mean, Sansa for season after season, just, you kept going, why are you so fucking stupid? Why?
She's the political monster.
Well, she was
Arya's the assassin monster, and Jon's the leader monster.
Well, right, and you had to watch the three of them go through these tribulations in order to become each of those things. Like, Sansa had to get beat on and beat on and beat on so that she got to the point where she even said, I'm a slow learner, but I do learn. And then that's when she finally turned around and dropped the hammer on Littlefinger and handed it right over to Arya, who went through her own trials and tribulations with the Faceless Men. The whole time during the beginning of that episode, where, Littlefinger is talking to her, I swear to God, I thought it was Arya wearing Sansa's face.
Yeah, could have been.
Like, I really thought that Arya killed Sansa in the last episode.
But now that you think that Arya is going to prep Littlefinger's face so she can use his mask?
That's an interesting question. Like, what would you use? I mean, there were so many witnesses to Littlefinger's death because they were all in that room.
Right, but they're all loyal to the North.
And they're all in Winterfell. So what could you do with Littlefinger's face? Could you go to King's Landing as Littlefinger and kill
totally.
Cersei?
Absolutely.
So
you could get an audience with Cersei as
right, but I don't think Cersei dies by Arya's hand.
No, she doesn't.
Right,
but she's on the list, right?
Well, Cersei's at the top of the list, but there was also a prophecy that the Valankar, which is Valyrian for little brother, would lead to her death. It was part of the whole Maggie the Frog prophecy thing, which I don't remember what season that was. But
is that in this show?
Yeah, there was a flashback where a young Cersei and her friend went into the woods, and they met with this woman, and I don't think they ever named the woman in the show, but in the book her name was Maggie the Frog, and she gave this whole prophecy about how you'll have 3 children with golden hair, and they'll all be taken from you, and the Valankar will betray you and kill you or what have you. And every part of that prophecy so far has come to pass.
Right. Okay, I remember that.
With the last bit being the Valankar, which is Valerian for little brother.
And she has the littlest of brothers.
Well, not only that, but Jaime was born second between the two of them. So technically,
they're twins, right?
Right. Technically, the little brother by a couple of minutes.
So it could go either way.
Could go either way. So I honestly don't think Arya gets to cross her off the list. I think it's going to be either Tyrion or more than likely Jaime, who will probably
it's totally Jaime.
Yeah, who will probably slay another royal member. He was the Kingslayer. Now he'll be the Queenslayer.
Yep.
See, I always had this weird notion that everybody was going to die except for Littlefinger and the Spider.
What?
For some reason, I always saw them as being the puppets pulling all the strings, and somehow at the end they would be the two left.
Well, I think Martin has always said that he's been telling the story through specific characters. It's always been about Arya, Sansa, Jon, Tyrion, and Daenerys. Like, those are his point of view characters. Like, that's at the end. Those will be the 5 characters that are still alive. Although I question whether or not Jon is still alive at the end of all of this, or Aegon, or whatever the fuck you want to call him. But I don't think Jon makes it all the way through to the end. Because how do you the claim to the throne now? I mean,
right,
it was...
Is it Dany or is it his?
Well, I mean, Westeros
is...
Well, it's obviously his. Westeros has been much more of the male-dominated lineage to royalty.
Right, but I'm saying is, I agree with you that if he's alive, if he's dead, then it's Dany's throne, right?
Right.
Right. So how do you resolve whose throne it's going to be if they both live?
Well, I mean, there's a few ways this pans out. One is that they rule together, and somehow they both sit on the Iron Throne. I don't know.
They get married.
Right. Which is not outside of the norms in Westeros. There have been plenty of cases of familial marriage.
Well, that's what the Targaryens did.
Exactly. And since they're both Targaryens, it would be well within the family norm. The aunt and nephew, I guess, wouldn't be the strangest thing. I mean, there's been brother and sister that have been king and queen. So that's one option. The other is that Jon defers, which he's, with all of his nobility.
I can see him doing that.
Right. With all of his nobility and his loyalty, he defers to Daenerys. But I don't think that's as likely as him dying. I think he ends up dying.
He's already died.
Well, and I think he ends up dying again. My guess is that he will end up sacrificing himself to take out the zombie dragon.
You mean the Night King?
Yeah, he'll end up riding the other dragon, which is Rhaegal, which is
named after Aegon.
No, named after his father Rhaegar. Right?
Oh, right.
So he'll end up riding that dragon as a Targaryen and taking on the Night King mano a mano.
Yeah, it's very convenient that there's 2 dragons that are Targaryen loyal and one that is now Night King. It's gonna be sweet when the 3 battle.
Yeah, but I don't think Dany will be a part of that. I think Jon will push her out of the way and take on the Night King himself. Part Stark, part Targaryen. Winter is coming. Have to stop winter. The Night King is the embodiment of that long winter. He's got to take him out, and he'll die trying. The biggest problem I have with all of this is how fast everything happened. Like, there were just throwaway lines of dialogue. They had Jim Broadbent come in to play the chief maester, and then he was there for 2 episodes, and then that's it. But the whole thing in Old Town was just it was a rushed thing. Like, I felt like if they gave it the 10 episodes that they usually do a season run with, it could have been paced a little bit better. You could have gotten a little additional information, a little bit more storytelling, and things wouldn't have felt as rushed.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, did you feel that generally through these 7 episodes that they were just barreling through to the end of it, just firing plot points out as fast as they could?
I think they had to.
But they only had to because HBO says no, that's it. And that's
because they needed an end from Martin. He hasn't even finished his book yet. When's it going to come out?
But why do you need the end? Think about it this way. This last episode of Game of Thrones was watched by 12 million people, and another 4 million people streamed it.
Legally.
I mean, when you factor in all of the people who end up catching it later or whatever, we're talking like Super Bowl numbers here. Like, how are you not trying to make as much Game of Thrones or stretch this out for as long as you can? I understand that it's an expensive show to produce. What with the dragons and the special effects and the whites and the whole routine, I get it.
The crazy part is, hold on, is again, they cut Ghost out of the last two scenes. Ghost was supposed to have come north of the wall with them when they were doing the Suicide Squad.
Right.
But they had to cut him because of budget.
Well, budget and time, I guess. But why have that? 12 million people watch this thing. It is the last show on Earth that is appointment television. That people have to be there to watch it at 9 p.m. on a Sunday.
Right, for fear of people spoiling.
Right. It's the last show on Earth that you can say that for. Everything else you just binge and stream at your leisure. This is the last one. Why would you not want to stretch this out for as long as you possibly can?
Because HBO doesn't do that.
But why?
Because that's not they're about art, not ratings. I mean, that sounds stupid the way I said it, but they do things for the artistic merit, they're not NBC or CBS or ABC or HBO.
They're a
right?
premium.
That's why they do things.
That lets Everyone Loves Raymond go on for like 77 years. Is that show still on?
Or according to Jim was on ABC. We're like, this is still on? These aren't reruns. These are new episodes. Like, what the fuck is this? Make no mistake, HBO is in this to make money. They're a premium cable channel. I mean, this is the kind of thing that this thing drives subscribership.
Yeah, because of what HBO can do, not because of a particular show. Like The Wire. How long could they could have kept The Wire going. They could have kept Band of Brothers going, The Pacific going, True Detective. They don't. They write a hit or whatever, and then they let it stand on its own. They don't.
All right. Well, then
they
fine.
don't milk it to death.
All right. Then explain why they had commissioned 5 different screenwriters to prepare treatments for 5 different spin-offs of Game of Thrones.
I don't know.
Is it going to be like Arya and the Hound as a buddy comedy?
No, it's going to be part of whatever's in George R.R. Martin's world. Although I would watch the shit out of that.
I would as well.
But explain that then, Ganthor. They're talking about spin-offs now for Game of Thrones.
No, they're not going to do it.
Yes, they are, because they know that people will watch it. But
like,
why
are we
would
talking
you?
like spin-offs like Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
Like where they kind of do an origin story of one of the characters, and that's kind of now the new show?
Well, it'll end up being like something of a prequel, where you'll start seeing about like the Targaryen dynasty and what it really meant to have, dragons running around. I mean, Martin has all kinds of anthology types of stuff that he has backstory upon backstory, much like Tolkien did. The story of like the older Targaryens, like Aegon the First. I think somewhere along the line, like John is Aegon the fourth or fifth of his name or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to fly.
But
did you see what they are doing though? Which is the first episode's out. They have a behind the scenes thing going on.
Yeah, 15-minute episodes now. So for the next 7 weeks, they'll have 15-minute episodes of like behind the game, or what's it called?
Behind the curtain.
Behind the curtain, whatever it is.
I don't know.
So, yeah. But it's 15-minute episodes for behind the scenes stuff.
Have you guys seen any of them?
Yeah, I watched the first one today.
Yeah, it was awesome, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. And they're going to do one for each episode, so they'll keep interest going for the next few weeks. But here you go, Ganthor. It's more Game of Thrones content. Instead of spinning off Game of Thrones into some other content stream or some of this behind the scenes stuff, why wouldn't you just have more actual fucking Game of Thrones? The original flavor.
Okay, but now you kind of know the end. Everything's built up to this point. Nothing's going to come close to the fright or the horror or the fear of, the long night and all that stuff after he's dealt with.
So you're saying there was nowhere else to go with this, that the buildup had gotten to the point where this boulder was rolling down the mountain and you just needed to see it just get to the bottom.
What would you want to see after the second Death Star's been destroyed in the Star Wars universe? Emperor's dead, Vader's dead, Empire's crushed, Death Star's destroyed, everybody's happy. What would you want to see after that? What would scare you or make you tense?
That's why he was compelling. But the whole thing about, having it continue to go on. Like after the Night King is completed, after you finish the boss level, I grant you have completed the game, story over, right? But there could have been more of a lead up into that, I think, in order to give you some of the details to where we are now. Now that the things have been set in motion, fine. 6 episodes to see the Night King and the battle and the whole routine, that's probably enough. But I feel like we rushed to get to the point that we're at now.
I like it. I don't give a fuck.
There you go. But anyway, what did we learn? Z-Man, what did we learn about Game of Thrones? What did we learn?
I don't think I learned anything there.
All right, good. Ganthor, what'd you learn?
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Ganthor, what'd you learn?
Andre the Giant set a record for the most beer consumed in a single sitting at a pub in Philadelphia by drinking 119 beers.
You learned that on our show?
No,
you just learned
I knew
it.
that before our show, but
What I learned Ned Stark is an asshole. Fuck Ned Stark. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you there, dumbass.
Thanks, buddy.
Get his head chopped off.
Fucking
No,
idiot.
Ned Stark. is
I
dumbass.
am on team Ned Stark still. You do not speak for me.
What?
No, Ned Stark's an asshole. So if you think Ned Stark's an asshole, why don't you go ahead and let us know on the Facebook page, facebook.com/4listeners or 4listeners.com. You can check out the show on Stitcher Radio, on Apple Podcasts, or on Google Play. Just search for 4Listeners. It will pop right on up, and you can give us a tweet on the Twitters at 4Listeners. We thank you for checking us out this week, and we hope that you will check us out again next week. Thanks a bunch, everybody.
Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage.
Wait, say that again?
The guy who played Dario originally
Yeah.
ended up playing the bad guy Ajax in Deadpool.
Oh.
Okay.
But that's the only character that they visibly swapped out an actor for.
Dude, you used to be able to see the Mountain's face. He's changed so many times.
Yeah, but now that he's been in that helmet after they zombified him, you really
Only
haven't
for
seen
a
his
couple
face.
seasons. You see him in the stable, not the stable, the jousting competition in season 1.
Yeah, but I thought it was the same guy. They brought him back.
No. Dude, look it up, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm going to look it up.
Good.
Because I think you're wrong.
What do you want to bet, Spear?
Right. So, Conan Stevens. Here's the guy that I know, the Bjornsson guy, who played it after, I guess, this Conan Stevens guy, and then Ian White plays him now.
See?
So Ganthor's correct. There were three different guys who played the Mountain.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
Ganthor was correct. There were 3 different actors that played the Mountain.
Feels good, right?
Yeah, it does.